to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 20th day, the official first day at spring. Spring at last. Spring at last. I remember back in December thinking, okay, we're just 90 days here. It's going to be fun. Then January 1st, okay, we're 61 days out. So, yeah, first day of spring here tomorrow. The NCAA tournament's going to start. I can't wait. You know, I'll say this. The ratings overall in the NCAA basketball have been down. And I've been vowing to, for the NBA to raise the age limit to 21, get these players more, get them more polished, more NBA ready. But all that being said, the ratings are still very high for this tournament coming up tomorrow. It's right at the NBA playoff finals from last year, around 12.5 to 13 million in ratings. So got a great show with you for tonight. Kareem Blackston will be here 30 minutes past the hour. You remember Kareem. Going to talk to Titans with him. Haven't spoke with him since Mike Vrabel was fired this past year. Going to go over some free agency, maybe get a few NBA questions. He was a basketball player, big guy. Kareem looks like he could play pro basketball or in the NFL. Great big old guy. Can't wait to hear from Kareem again. Richard Pitino tomorrow will be coaching. Yes, does that name sound familiar? Because it should. New Mexico's coach here has got two former players of NBA sons, Jamal Mashburn Jr. Jamal Mashburn, 31 years ago, was in the Final Four. His, ironically, Rick Pitino at Kentucky coached Jamal Mashburn. They got put out by that, by the, what do they call it? The the Fab Five Michigan team. Back at so I got a story to talk about him. Maybe he can replace Calipari, So, anyways, got that. Going to give you my Final Four quick take there, and of course, like I said, Kareem will be on around 30 minutes past the hour. So, took a little too long in this intro. Let's take our first and only break. Then we'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. I'll be back here in 49 seconds. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, back here live. Okay. Just like I said before the break, I'm still holding out hope, judging by what Adam Silver said, that the NBA, maybe the NBA can work with college in the NIL, since the NIL is there now. And he made that comment about a month or two ago, and I did a segment on it. And what I would really like the NBA to go to 3 years out of high school type of situation, similar to the NFL. I think it would help tremendously. We would get back into following these players throughout college and following them into the big league. It's better marketing, especially national marketing for the league. And it also helps the college game, not just marketing. I think these players are going to be much more especially once they get the transfer portal and NIL kind of settled down, where you have more of some kind of guardrails for that. I say all that because I'm still talking about this. I'm going to talk about this college segment here. Okay. Kentucky's men's basketball coach, John Calipari, you NBA fans, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, former Kentucky player, 25 years old. OKC is first in the West right now. He's pretty much a favorite or just below the favorite to win the MVP this year. Kentucky set the most a record for most players that went to one school in an all-star game this past week. And Calipari, last year, they got put out in the second round by Kansas State. The year before that, they got put out by St. Peter's in the first round. With all this NBA lottery talent he brings in every year, I've talked to some Kentucky fans, particularly a friend of mine I go to church with. He wants to do away with Calipari. His best days are behind him. He's more salesman and all about getting players to the NBA rather than actual coaching and development. One and done does not help. Most of these players leave. Even if he just gets one or two lottery picks in a year, they want to put everything around those lottery picks. And there's no chemistry there to develop. It's just too soon to develop any type of chemistry. My friend, he's telling me, man, I sure would like to bring in Rick Pitino when St. John's fired their coach, and Pitino was out of Iona last year. And Pitino, I think he's got the record for 5 or 6 teams to make the tournament that he has coached, won a national championship with 2 different programs, Louisville and Kentucky here, even coached in the NBA for the Celtics for a little while. Of course, that didn't happen. He didn't go to Kentucky. And, of course, obviously, Kentucky kept John Calipari. He went to St. John's. They got close, but they just didn't make the tournament this year. I played a bite from Pitino a few weeks ago when he kind of got some heat about criticizing the players' weakness in lateral movement and defense. But his son, ironically, Richard Pitino, is about my age. Rick Pitino's in his 70s, folks. He's in his 70s. Well of a coach, looked great for his age. I know he's got somewhat of a checkered past, to say the least, with some issues with not just that affair at Louisville and the extortion thing, but also he had the pay-for-play allegations and stuff like that was tied to him indirectly, not directly, but indirectly to him at Louisville. But his son, close to my age, I'm 42, he's 41. Richard Pitino is coaching for New Mexico, who's playing Friday. They'll be playing Friday against number 6 seed Clemson. A lot of people are picking them to upset Clemson. I'm one of those people. They lead their Mountain West Conference, I want to say, New Mexico, in rebounding. They've got 2 sons who are playing well of former NBA players, Eddie House, Jalen House, and I think he's a forward, but he also got playing a guard. And Jamal Mashburn Jr. Jamal Mashburn, ironically, played for Rick Pitino, Richard Pitino's, like I said before the break here, he played for Rick Pitino back in 1993, 92-93, had a shot to got that team into the Final Four. Kentucky, they lost to the Fab Five that year, to Chris Webber's Fab Five team that year. The infamous timeout call. Remember, that cost, they didn't have the timeout. They got teed up for it or whatever. And, of course, Carolina went on to win their second national championship under Dean, whatever his name is, the great coach there, Dean Smith, who coached Jordan back in the day. They got their second championship. But ironically, so this guy, Richard Pitino, would be interesting. You know, what if Calipari loses again in the first round? They're saying that this Shepherd here, let me make sure I got his name right, could be a lottery pick as well. You know, was it Rick Shepherd? Let me look at the Kentuckies. I think it's Sam Shepherd, but I want to make sure. He also played for Kentucky back in the day. But Kentucky could very well get put out in the first round. I know they're playing like Long Beach or something. You know, but either way, for whatever reason, what if Kentucky sides are fired? You know, I think that they could definitely, Reed Shepherd here, 6'3" guard who is very streaky at times, can shoot the three ball really well. One site said he could be the number 1 overall pick. I'm not so sure about that. There's a couple of guys out of France that are supposed to be the top players in the NBA draft coming up in June. So wouldn't it be a good story here for it, since Kentucky can't get Rick Pitino back? He ends up going to St. John's. I think he played for St. John's or whatever back in the day. And he's a little frustrated, but he wants to stay there. Pretty close to retirement, being 73, 74 years old. Wouldn't it be nice for Kentucky to bring back Richard Pitino? Now, if they go on a run, if they get put out in the first round, that won't cause a big buzz. But what if they get to Sweet 16? They get some national TV time with Mashburn Jr. and Jalen House, which is Eddie House's son as well here. The two former players. I got a sense they're going to make a run, but we'll find out come Friday when they play this afternoon. So that's something that it'd be interesting. That's a storyline to follow in the tournament. Okay. That, and of course the women's tournament, the Caitlin Clark saga. I was reading the other day, I was listening to Jason Whitlock saying that Caitlin Clark is their bracket's very difficult. It's going to be hard. This thing's probably going to come down to in the women's I'm talking about here. Probably going to come down to LSU and the winner of LSU and of course South Carolina to win the national championship. Okay, switching gears before I run out of time here. So talking the Final Four, again, this is a 3-week sport now. You know, this sport used to be great all the way through. I would watch regular season games like nobody's business. I think it started going downhill after 2001. I remember that 2001 Duke team. I followed them throughout. I thought they Shane Battier, Boozer, Jay Williams when he was healthy. That team right there, very good team, tough to beat. Big comeback they made in the semifinal round over who was it? Maryland, which Maryland later went on and won the national championship the very next year in 2002. After that, when LeBron got drafted in 2003, they didn't have an age limit in the NBA. Things started to go downhill from there, where you just didn't watch the player. Usually when you watch the tournament, you're looking for that one player that's going to go high in the draft. Now, not so much. There's more of international players that are doing so now. Your Victor Wembanyama's of the world. So, but anyways, to my actual picks here, again, the ratings for the tournament itself in the NCAA tournament are very good. They're right there with NBA playoffs and finals, but the NBA playoffs and finals is 12-9, 12-5, 12-9 to 13 million people watch it. Used to be 20 plus during the Jordan day of the NBA. You'd like to get the association back to that here in America, although it's grown tremendously worldwide. Okay. But anyways, I was looking at guys' picks like Jay Billis here out of ESPN. Got a lot of respect for Jay Billis. I'll say this. I think obviously it's a crapshoot. I'm going to have fun tomorrow. Betting games, just looking at spreads, and we'll see how this thing's go. I have a good time with it. So Billis of ESPN, he thinks it's going to be UConn, which is a 1 seed. Most people are going to pick UConn. Why not? I know that, was it 2007, I want to say. The last time we had a back-to-back was in the early 2000s when the Florida Gators. Joakim Noah. I think Al Horford was on that team. Very young, 19-year-old Al Horford. Joakim Noah, Ronnie Brewer, those guys like that. I played on that team. They won back-to-back under Billy Donovan, if you recall. So that was over 15 years ago, closer to 17. I got maybe a little bit longer than that. But it doesn't happen that often. Then before that, 15 years before that, you had, like Keith Engel said, you had Duke win it back-to-back. So a lot of people are picking it. That's where I'm leaning here for UConn. But Billis has UConn, Arizona. Now, Arizona, a girl at work asked me today about how do you pick these? What have I noticed in these tournaments of teams that play well and get you some wins? Teams that rebound the ball and play good defense, and more than anything, that have that big that can consistently rebound the ball. And obviously, you want to have good guard play. Not everybody's got the best guard play, but I want a team that rebounds the ball really well. Glass cleaners, whatever you want to say. A team like a Texas A&M rebounds really well. Florida lost one of their bigs here. Connecticut rebounds the ball well. They play really good defense. They get high percentage shots. Very old school. So Billis has UConn, Arizona, who does both of those things well. One of the better defensive rebounding teams in the country. Houston in the Final Four under Calvin Sampson, former Oklahoma coach, and Purdue. Now, Purdue really let me down last weekend watching them in their conference game tournament when I just noticed their guard play wasn't that good. It's just not as good. Obviously, Wisconsin ended up upsetting them and beat them there in the tournament. He's still got these guys, and he's saying maybe Purdue taking it on Purdue over UConn, and he's saying that UConn wins a national championship game again. Now, mine personally, I like what Hubert Davis has done with North Carolina, folks. I mean, Carolina a few years ago got all the way. I think they got all the way to the national championship. Not so much last year. Rebound really well. That's another big thing with me. Defensive rebound may have some problems scoring, not quite the guard play that you would like. But I got North Carolina in the Final Four here with UConn, of course, coming out of the East. Now here's some wild fastballs for you. I took a chance and took a Texas A&M. I think there's going to be a lot of upsets. There's always upsets. Don't get me wrong. But this year, I think a team like a Texas A&M, this is one of the brackets I did. The bracket I'm going to talk about. Out of the South, I've got Texas A&M. They were second in the whole country in rebounding. Okay. They've blown out some good teams like a Tennessee. Okay. That's a wild card. And you say, and then my other team in my Final Four, that would be Creighton, folks. That would be Creighton. Now, Creighton beat UConn. Okay. Creighton, very tough team here. Balanced. Got some veterans there on that Creighton team here. I know that they've been ranked all year. They're coming out of that Big East. We'll see. I want to say St. John's beat them. So, but Creighton is not a lot of people's going to pick them. Some people are picking Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, you saw them get blown out by Mississippi State in the first round. Rick Barnes' teams, if you put them as favorites, they can lose to anybody out there, including a blowout. I mean, think about it. Tennessee plays in Knoxville. Their conference tournament's here in Nashville, okay? Should be a packed house for Tennessee fans last week. They get put out in the very first round by Mississippi State by like 17 points. I know that Dalton Kincaid, whatever his name is, he's their leading scorer, but this team watched them lose to a South Carolina team at home when they were double-digit favorites. They're just not that team. You cannot depend on this team game in and game out. They're good to make it probably to the Sweet 16, in my opinion. Some people have them making it to the Final Four. I know a lot of Tennessee fans here in the Nashville area would like to see that. I just cannot trust this team to get back to the Final Four. Again, Purdue did not like the guard play there out of them. I know they're one of the bigger, one of the more popular teams here. You need guard play and rebounding. Okay. Guard play, rebound. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to just have be the team that, shoots the three ball really well. It would be nice to do that. It would be nice to have the top free throw shooting team. Okay. But just a common occurrence, since, college is pretty watered down, not the best players. I talked about this a few weeks ago, that the last I checked, the third prospect in the NBA mock draft is a player out of Colorado. I think Colorado's in one of these little play-in games. I think they're playing tonight or whatever. But it's two guys from France. Now, I've been reading that Reed Shepherd has surpassed it. We'll see about that. That was one article. That was one sports writer. We'll see. But, you got guys like teams like Illinois. They've got good guard play, and they've got they're good at rebounding. They could go far. They are a 3 seed. Okay, I've got them going. Let's see, I forgot what I've got this team going here. I think I got them going to like the Sweet 16 or maybe the Elite 8. Of course, I'm looking at this thing here in live time here. Iowa State, they're one of those teams that kind of remind me of a somewhat of a Purdue. You get real high on them. In the past, when I've picked on Iowa State, they beat me. They beat me in the past. But I mean, hey, they're playing. They're going to run into. They're going to run into Illinois in the Sweet 16 round, if I'm not mistaken here. So yeah, they're going to run into Illinois if they both win, of course, in the Sweet 16 round. One of them's got to go. And I noticed Illinois. So I've got Illinois making it to the Elite 8, even though it's more trendy to pick Iowa State, per se. All right. You got Shaka Smart. Didn't do well. Did great at Virginia Commonwealth, his coach. He's got some players at Marquette. One player has got an oblique strain or something like that. One of their best players, he's supposed to play through this thing. He was not doing well at Texas. He was on the verge of getting fired at Texas, and Marquette was open. He took the Marquette job, and now they're doing well. I mean, shoot, Marquette's like a 2 seed, man. You got to watch that team. They're well coached. Auburn's well coached. Bruce Pearl, big game coach. There's no real, other than Connecticut, there's no super dominant group here. Regardless of what last year, I don't think a 1 seed even made the Final Four. So you got to look at it that way. Gonzaga's a 5 seed. Mark Few's team with Gonzaga usually do better as major underdogs. I started to pick Michigan State with Tom Izzo, but Mississippi State's playing really well. That game is being played. That's the first game, by the way. I can't wait. 11:15 Central, 12:15 Eastern. That game will be played in Charlotte. I like to pick the team. This is just what's worked over the years for me. I mean, again, this thing can go out. That's what's fun about it. It kind of goes crazy. But my dad taught me this a long time ago. pick teams that are closer to home. You know, who's got the better distance. That's worked for me. I've had some upsets that way. But again, you can go on the ESPN. You can hit the stats here. You can go into the conference, and you just write down which team rebounds better. You know, and that's who I have, Mad New Yorker. I have Mississippi beating Michigan State. Mississippi State is not that far from Charlotte. Michigan State's way up there in Michigan. Mississippi State beat up on Tennessee, a 2 seed. They can beat anybody. Just like Keith Engel said last week, this is the strongest the SEC's ever been. Okay, I like Texas. I got Texas A&M in the Final Four. Who's your Final Four, Carlos? You know, I got A&M in the Final Four, which they could get put out there the 9th seed. They can lose to the 8th. You know, but I'm taking a chance. Who knows any of this stuff? Usually, the administrative assistant in the office wins these things, right? You could just randomly, and what I should have did, Matt Parlow says, Matt New York, who's your Final Four? Mine is UConn, Carolina, Texas A&M, and Creighton. I got crazy with the last two. So Carlos here, I'm putting it on the screen. Connecticut, Arizona, Purdue, and Houston. Calvin Sampson's teams have let me down multiple years in the past. Calvin Sampson's teams have let me down in the past, folks. Houston, very good defense. The trendy pick for a lot of people to win the whole thing. But we'll see. We shall see. Lost in the tournament there at the end. Lost their conference tournament. I like national championship teams. I like national championship teams. And you got to go back and look at the history. They usually run the table in the tournament. They're usually, you see it. They just bam, bam, bam in their conference tournament. They get the little early bye, but they don't have to play the 5 games. I know Connecticut did that one year, about 15 years ago. Mad New Yorker says Calvin Sampson's not playing basketball, but he is coaching. He's coaching the team. Doc Rivers had coached those teams. I'll say that, and they'll probably win. I got Connecticut repeating. I got Connecticut over Creighton, which they're in the same conference. That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting national championship game. I've got them over, but you know, like I said, there's the regular season, there's conference tournaments, then there's the big tournament. You could see a totally different team. I've seen this year after year that played in February, a team that's lost 4 or 5 games in a row. Something gel for them. They start to go on a little bit of a winning streak, and they barely get in, but they get a good seed. They get hot in the tournament, and they're in the Final Four. I mean, that stuff happens all the time. And their returning kids are strong. They have new kids in stamina. I guess you're talking to. So do you have Houston winning it all? I've got UConn over Creighton. Creighton's a 3. UConn winning back-to-back under Mr. Hurley, which is Bobby Hurley's brother. But they ran roughshod, you know. I had Keith Engel on last week. He was saying they're a little nuts. That coach almost got into it with a fan or something. He's a little Bill O'Brien. Let me make sure that whatchamacallit got my email here. Cream Black. Yeah, Cream's. He's got my email. I'm waiting for him to pop up here. Carlos says, I don't see too many smaller conferences in the tournament like this before. Yeah. So you're saying, who do you have winning it? Do you have Houston winning the whole thing, Mad New Yorker? I've got Connecticut winning again. But again, hey, maybe Carolina does it. Carolina won at Duke this year. Duke's got a pretty good seed. They're not, I don't think Duke will ever be back if, I won't say ever, with the current coaching staff. Usually got to go to 2 or 3 coaches to get a guy like Coach K. All right. I'm surprised that Duke hasn't fell off even more. Yeah, I've got Carolina in it this year. They're in the Final Four. I'll probably do some more brackets. I like going back to what I was talking about, betting and wagering. Look for that team that looks like they're just playing head and shoulders better than they played in the regular season. Look for that team that is one shot, brick, rebound, one shot, brick, rebound, inside scoring. That was Carolina 2 years ago, Chad. That Carolina team 2 years ago, I was $5 here, $5 there, and I was winning. I rode them all the way to the national championship because I could see them. I could see them coming, Of course, they lost. They ended up losing the championship to Kansas, I want to say, a couple years ago. But I can see Hubert Davis' team playing like that again. I'm seeing shades of that 21 team here. I don't know if they're going to be that good, but I got to go on the Final Four. Who knows? I did hear that they do, and of course, hey, Connecticut's not perfect. Connecticut's had problems beating ranked teams on the road this year, so that's what makes it fun. It's a crapshoot. Again, I wish the quality was better. I wish that they had a 3-year out of high school, 3-year out of high school minimum, so we could follow these players like we could follow a Jay Williams, a Shane Battier, Grant Hill type of player. I just mentioned former Kentucky Wildcat Jamal Mashburn, whose son is playing really well for New Mexico. And New Mexico could be a sleeper Sweet 16 team. They're 11 seed. Richard Pitino's coaching them. Okay. Eddie House, Jalen House's son, is playing for that team. And Jamal Mashburn, who was a baller in college and a baller in the professional level, got to that Final Four. 1993-90 or 92-93 Kentucky team that got put out ultimately by Michigan. That Michigan team that Chris Webber, with the infamous no timeout there, I hope Kareem got my email. I think he did. He said he's going to come on tonight. But we shall see. Owuku Saki. I have Purdue finishing. Okay, so Carlos, I don't even have them making it till the Final Four. Now, I'll say this about Purdue. Maybe they get the right draw. You say, well, you got the draw right there. Well, you got to look and see individually how they're going to mash up with their teams here. I just did not like that. They seem a little slow at guard, and that ain't good. And that is not good for me. I just thought they could not defend. They could not defend Michigan. They couldn't defend Wisconsin down the stretch. Little slow there, a little bit. But we'll see. Like I said, they got put out early last year. Maybe that works. Maybe they were looking ahead to the big tournament here and took their eye off the ball. Maybe they're the Virginia team of 6 years ago. Remember, I think 6, 7 years ago, Virginia loses the first round. Virginia's the first ever team in the NCAA tournament first team in the NCAA ever to lose to a 16 seed, led by DeAndre Ayton. The very next year, Tony Bennett, not the coach, not the singer, This team, they had a 1 seed again. They went all the way, won a national championship. Purdue got put out early last year. Is Purdue, this year's Purdue team, are they hardened by the early? Of course, they lost their conference game, the semifinal, which I lost a lot of bet. I was working Saturday, 12-hour shift. I was playing these conference games. And I'll tell you, folks, I was getting beat like nobody's business. But I was falling on my phone to help me pass the time while I'm between runs. I'm a medical carrier. And I'm watching. I'm like, man, Texas A&M blows a big lead to Florida. Now, I got them going far this year. They blow 18-point lead. Florida led the league in rebounds, the whole country. But they lost their 7-foot big man. Of course, Auburn beat them in their conference tournament. But I got beat on an NBA game yesterday. I got beat on Purdue not beating Wisconsin. Wisconsin gets them into overtime there, and I hope Cream's going to come in because we had to. I'm not going to go over today. If he comes on, great. If he don't, well, we'll just have to deal with it, and we'll do rapid fire because the time's running out. I trust them more than UNC. So Carlos says that he trusts Purdue more than Carolina. Carolina is very athletic, good defense, rebounding, kick the ball. They don't have that dominant guard play like we've seen in the past. They don't have that. Like I said, other than Connecticut, there's no real dominant. You got just teams that are just pretty good on a given night. Tennessee is a 2 seed, and Tennessee, I swear, they can get beat in the first round, man. It's not out of the question. There have been 4 or 5, I want to say, 15s historically to get put out in the. Remember, who was it? MTSU. I'm here out of Nashville. MTSU beat. This was about 7-8 years ago now. They beat Michigan State in the might have been 10 years ago. First round. No, that really irritated me with the whole bracket stuff. A lot of people, myself, I had Michigan State winning the national championship. And Tom Izzo's team got beat in the first round. They got beat in the first round. That just irritated. That's Tennessee right there. I think they're a 2 seed. Let me go back and look at the other side here. Alabama's a good team. Remember, we saw what they did last year. Now they had Brandon, whatchamacallit there, the kid that got into the trouble there. Yeah, I don't know if Cream's going to show up or not. Either way, we can't waste time here. Let's see. I'm going to go and see where they're at here. I'm going through my bracket here, going through the brackets and looking at it. But I've made some few more notes here. Let's see. Go back to my Thursday notes, and we can see where we're at here. Kansas, don't pick. Kansas has 2 guys that are injured. A lot of people are saying that Kansas. A lot of people are saying that Samford, Florida, they run this really quick press man, style. Kansas with 2 key injuries. These players are supposed to play. At what percent, I don't know. That we'll see about that. But if you're looking for upsets, maybe take Sanford. They're 7.5-point favorites or underdogs. Sanford, not Stanford. SAMFORD against Kansas, and they run that press man, the whole time, kind of like what Bruce Pearl did at University of Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's back 15, 18 years. That was back when just before he got hired to take on for Tennessee. That was just before he got hired to take on Tennessee. And they got to the Sweet 16 running that trap press band type of style. It's very hard to do that unless you really have to have the depth to play that trap basketball for full court, for a whole game. But that's what Sanford does. They could knock out Kansas. That could be a big upset alert. I've heard that Utah State's very well coached. They could make a run. These are some of the podcasts and some of the information that I have found here. Again, Drake, I was hearing Drake has an advantage on the location there in their matchup. And of course, BYU, I like their location there, right in the middle of Omaha there. I think I picked, I want to say I think I picked the team. Now, of course, you got a team like Baylor, not the best rebounding team on the planet, but I will say this. Baylor, who won, what they win at 3 or 4 years ago, they got such good guard play, per se, from what I hear, that they could get hot that way. Where they win. Remember, George Mason had really good guard play about, now we're talking almost 20 years ago. But they got to the Final Four that year, if you recall. Off really their guard play, just this really good guard play here. Mad New Yorker says he has Wisconsin beating Duke. Yeah, I could see that. You got the athleticism, you got the speed there, and they box out at Wisconsin as well. Duke, you never know what you're going to get. There's Kareem. He pops up here. Bring him in here.
How's it going?
We ain't got that much time, but we're running rapid fire, buddy. Hey, good to
Sorry about that. I got caught up with work.
Hey, man, that life happens here. Good to see you again. Hey, let's rewind this thing a little bit. What's your take? Do you think Tennessee, going with the Titans talk here, folks, do you think it was justified for them to fire Mike Vrabel this year?
Looking back at it, yes.
Okay. I thought you was going to put on the Vrabel shirt here and defend it.
Well, it was a number of things that kind of led into him getting fired, I believe, anyway, with the New England speech.
What was the New England speech?
Him saying that there's no place like this organization. He's been to other organizations.
Yeah.
And he never apologized for it. Then I think he leaked the Titans picking the quarterback from the Texans.
Wow.
Because
you think that? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It came from his source.
Okay.
They
wanted to get Stroud?
Yeah, they wanted Stroud. I think he leaked it because it came from the source he usually used.
Yeah.
And so between that and was it 2 losing seasons?
Was it Rand? Why do you think he did that? Was he trying to sabotage the team?
I don't think he was sabotaging the team. I think he was sabotaging the general manager.
Okay, so that's what I hear. He butted heads with Rand Carthon.
He wanted Rand. I thought he thinks that when Rand Carthon got hired, he was going to be over Rand Carthon, I believe.
Okay, so that was what I was getting a gist of too. Yeah. You know me, if you heard and watched the program, I do not want coaches. That's why Belichick's not in New England.
Yeah.
They don't need to be going shopping for the growth. That sounds great in a press conference by Bill Parcells, but over time, that's going to get you beat.
Right.
There's not enough time in a day to analyze all these players and put together game plans.
Right.
Yeah. So you look at that. You look at the I'm just giving you my take too, because I don't know if you heard the previous shows going back to January when this happened. Is you look at the last few teams that have been in the Super Bowl since 2019. We're talking 5 years of data. Every team has had an offensive-minded head coach. I want physicality too, but man, you've talked about this on air and in private. We know he's going to hire the in-house guy to be the offensive coach. He's never going to go outside the organization. Remember that?
Part of it was his problem. Part of it was him not being a coach long enough. So he wasn't in coaching long enough to build those relationships.
Right.
So he only went with what he knew, which was the Texans, which I told you I had a problem with before of him bringing all the Texans over from a losing organization to Tennessee. So I had an issue with that.
Yeah. You're making some good points, man. Okay, well, let's fast forward here. I totally agree with you. I might have gave him one more year, but more I heard about him trying to I wanted Rand Carthon to pick the players.
Yeah. Well,
man, we see he didn't get a job yet. Vrabel didn't.
Well, here's the thing. Rand Carthon still messed up the draft. I will say
last year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how do you know who had the full authority last year?
Well, but he messed up the draft, and I think they panicked.
Okay.
So they wanted the quarterback in the first round.
Okay.
And that didn't work, so they went with the best available player, which was Sikorsky. And now I don't know who idea was to move him at guard. And if you were going to go with guard, do not pick a guard.
Yeah, I know you hate that. I hear you.
And that leads to the problem this year because you went out and got another running back when you already picked a running back in the third round.
Oh, well, yeah. So go back to that. Now, this free agency, I'm a little concerned about what they paid Pollard.
Right.
They probably could have got a better deal there. But Pollard does do what Spears does. And Pollard is 3 years younger than the flip side. He is 3 years younger than Derrick Henry. Those guys can offset each other. It kind of complements what Callahan does.
Well, that's just it. I think they had those guys already on the roster.
Who was the other guy?
They had what was the one they just signed?
You got Pollard, yeah.
They had Chestnut.
Oh, you like Chestnut? Oh, you want to go real cheap at running back?
Well, it's basically if you're not really going to use a running back as a receiver.
Okay.
I mean, and Chestnut can catch the ball, but he's just bigger. And Chestnut's actually, I think he's a good running back. I knew they were going to keep him. I just didn't know at what capacity.
They still got Haskins as a number 3 running back right now.
And they still have Haskins. So why spend that money on Pollard, especially when you need at left tackle, a guard, still need corners.
Yeah. Well, they got a corner. They did get a Nduzu way. What do you think about Callahan? I got ahead of myself for hiring the offensive coordinator out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he has to prove everything.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't calling the plays in Cincinnati, so it's all about show and prove right now.
But you do like now his dad. What do you think about him bringing his? I think that's a great idea because his dad's a good offensive line coach.
I was when they said his name, it rang bells, and then I looked him up. I said, "Is that the idiot that was the head coach with the Raiders?"
Yeah, but he might not be head coach material. That's
I know. Yeah, and he said he's a good offensive line. Yeah.
Okay. Man, you're tough critic, dude. You know something, by the way, Kareem, this is good. This is really, if you like the Titans, which I'm out of Nashville, everybody's picking the Titans to finish last. They're totally writing off Tennessee. They're putting it, they're saying it's a Houston-Jacksonville. It's a battle of Houston-Jacksonville. Tennessee's going to be in the cellar. All the national, and we talked about this too. It's good to be looked at that way.
True.
Yeah. And even if Tennessee was doing well, they would have to have a mega star at quarterback, or the national media is going to say what the other team, big market team, did wrong rather than what Tennessee did right.
Well, I get it because you're talking about new players and a coach that never called plays before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has to have his learning curve too.
Oh, Callahan.
Yeah, and
is he going to be calling the plays?
Right.
Okay.
And you're going to be rebuilding. So that's, even though you do have veteran players, which helps.
Yeah.
And I mean, basically, this season is about what Will Levis can do, and if they're going to draft a quarterback next year.
Yeah, they took. I know a lot of people may say they may have overpaid for Ridley. Only 50 out of 4 years with this wide receiver market, 4 years of that is guaranteed, or 50 million spread out over 4 years is guaranteed. That's not breaking the bank in this market of wide receivers getting $25 to $30 million a year.
The one thing with me is I never worry about what the player is getting paid. I mean,
so you're okay with some of the contracts being a little higher?
Yeah, I don't mind that, because
I thought that was a concern for some people, but not me.
No, not like I say. What do you say? You don't count another man's pockets.
Because I think you can get around stuff in the cap.
And if like I said, and that's if you believe in the cap.
yeah, it can,
because the Texans are loaded.
Well, that's true. The Texans did get Danielle Hunter. And now it is real. Somebody made a point. Look at the Chargers. They had to get rid of 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, but
Keenan Allen.
Really, I mean, because basically you got you got rid of a wide receiver that's hurt all the time.
Yes,
and you got rid of an old wide receiver. So
yeah, and by the way, I said I was cool with it.
Yeah,
I'm fine. Yeah. They got a pretty good core of wide receivers. Plus, they got a really good pick. I think they'll get a Dunze. What do you think about the idea of getting a Joe Alt at left tackle with that 7 pick, or do you think they should go somewhere else with that?
I'm kind of going with the census as far as if Alt's there, I guess take Alt.
Okay.
But if one of those wide receivers are there, which is Marvin Jones Jr. and what's
Odunze or
no Neighbors?
Neighbors can run like the wind blows,
right?
Can he?
So and that's the rumor. If Neighbors is there, take Neighbors. If Alt's not there, basically. But I'm also looking to possibly trade back to get more picks too.
Okay, now that's been talked about because of Minnesota. They're high on J.J. McCarthy from Michigan. If Alt's there, do you still trade down to like a 12 to get a 3rd round pick and maybe get this guy named Talise Funga from Oregon State? But they've randomly got him listed as a right tackle.
Well, from what I'm hearing, they might get another first.
Oh, wow.
Because was it Minnesota and it was Arizona doesn't necessarily want the pick because I think they're at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Minnesota
Arizona's at 4, yeah.
Right, and New England needs a quarterback too.
Yeah. Everything I'm saying, I think it's going to go new. Okay, I know. I've been looking at this for days now. Caleb Williams, that's penciled in with the Bears. Mm-hmm. Number 2, due to Cliff Kingsbury, Jalen Daniels out of LSU. That he does a lot what Kyler Murray did with Kingsbury connection. I think he's penciled in at 2. Everything I hear and read, I think Drake May from North Carolina with New England's penciled in at 3. And people love Harrison at 4.
Yeah.
One mock draft, a guy, Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network, says that Minnesota's going to trade all the way up to 4 from like 17 or 12 or whatever. They're going to take that other pick and get J.J. McCarthy. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Tennessee would be cooking with gas.
Yeah.
If you got that many quarterbacks.
Yeah. And that'll raise the level of their draft pick too, because the Giants still need a quarterback too.
The Giants and the Mad New Yorker, he does not want them to reach for a quarterback. He don't want them to take a Christian Ponder there, Kareem,
Yeah,
or
they,
Jake Locker.
where the Giants are picking what, 6?
Yeah,
So they might have to trade up too.
that's true. That's true. Carlos, I know you're listening to that. My thing is, you better do your homework. We look at Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones. None of them are. On the flip side, look at the 2020 draft. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. All those guys got second contracts.
So basically, if the Giants decide to trade up above, if Arizona takes the draft capital of the Giants versus Minnesota,
yes,
which has the better pick, that leaves Tennessee in business with Minnesota.
Yeah. Wow. Now, going back to the Titans, they cut Dillard the other day, which I thought they probably should. I read, and a friend of mine that works with 104.5 The Zone, he's not an on-air talent, but he works behind us. He claims that it was Vrabel's bright idea to bring Dillard in last year.
Yeah, probably so.
And so they cut him. So, man, do you want to take a chance and draft him one? And I also heard that this Fashanu from Penn State is not a true left tackle, but he's very raw. Maybe they can try him out at left tackle.
Well, I heard what Fashanu has more talent than all.
Yes, he's got a higher ceiling.
So with the offensive line coach, that 2 + 2 = 4. So if you can trade back and draft Fashanu and get a few more picks in the draft, why not do it?
That would be if they got their first round pick.
Yeah.
So me and Mad New Yorker, we're going to do a show throughout the first 10 picks on draft night. I follow a guy on the X app. He goes to the draft every year. And this guy gets the picks in before TV. I've been doing this for 3 years now. So tune in, everybody, towards that. The more you bring that up, that would be interesting. Yeah. Tennessee could very well be for Denver. Denver wants a quarterback, and so does Minnesota. So those are two teams right there picking behind. I think Denver's like 14 or something. I can't remember. But we can go check. I could check it real quick.
So if Arizona trades out, that would leave the Rams probably for either Harrison or Neighbors.
So you would go with them and then try to get another tackle later.
Well, since the Chargers, not the Rams, but the Chargers. So if the Chargers just cut 2 wide receivers, so they need a wide receiver.
I'm almost for certain they're going to take the best available.
But the thing is that they also need a quarterback. Their quarterback's old.
No, the Chargers?
Yeah.
Oh, Herbert.
No, Herbert. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Rams. So yes. Yeah, so they cut two wide receivers. So automatically they're probably going to take a wide receiver.
Okay.
So from what I'm hearing, it's either wide with John Harbaugh. You don't know. It could be wide receiver. It could be left tackle.
He would like to trade down because he's got so much insight on college players.
True.
He would come in being like a Jimmy Johnson or Pete Carroll when he first got there. Giants are 6, Tennessee 7, Atlanta's 8. They just gave Kirk Cousins a lot of money.
Right.
They'll probably wait to the second round, don't you think?
And there's always a dark horse.
Almost every year is a dark horse. Okay, here we go. Minnesota's 11. I stand corrected. Denver's at 12. Vegas is at 13.
Yeah.
One mock draft had Vegas taking who's the guy from Washington? Michael Penix in the first round.
And Denver needs a quarterback too.
Yeah, so you're talking the Jets, by the way. They got Mike Williams. Carlos, since you're watching now, if I'm the Jets, you still take that left tackle. Do not take a receiver. They got Tyron Smith, but Smith is injury prone. He's good, but that's Dallas let him go for a reason, you know?
Yeah.
So I hope they don't do that to help out Rodgers. But anyways, yeah, so now you got Minnesota 11, 12, 13 Denver, and then 14 New Orleans. Yeah, so those picks right there, yeah, man, the best case scenario for Tennessee, if it's 4 to 6 quarterbacks go in the first round, that would be crazy talk. But
that would leave to their pick of a lineman and wide receivers.
man, see, you're making a good point. I never thought about it that way. If they can take, because you're saying that they may move on from Trayvon Burks, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are rumors about him being traded.
Okay, I've heard that. Are you saying maybe? Have you also heard about the L'Jarius Sneed rumors with Tennessee?
I
Kansas
think it's
City.
I think that'll cost too much.
Okay.
Because you're giving up a pick, and you have to pay him.
Would you give up? I heard this yesterday. Would you give up a 3rd round pick in 2025, and he would want 4 years, $80 million?
Can't do that because you're rebuilding.
They're pretty rich, huh? That's pretty rich, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're rebuilding, you can't rebuild without draft picks.
But hey, they've got a center. They've got Sonorsky. They seem okay at right tackle with Fareed. Can't you make the argument that maybe they're a little bit ahead of where a lot of people might think that they are?
Well, they are, because that's another reason why Vrabel probably needed to be fired, because he did an awful job of grooming players.
Okay.
He did an awful job. He had no coaches. Basically, none of them knew what they were doing.
So what'd you think of did you not like free agency at all?
This year? I just didn't like the running backs. I didn't like them not concentrating on defense too.
Okay. Yeah, they got a linebacker that's.
Yeah, they finally got a defensive tackle, but the linebacker situation is awful.
Yeah, and I read the ones they picked up didn't rate that high.
Yeah.
Kenneth Murray, he's not very good against the run.
Well, the only thing about them, I don't know what defense they're going to run, because the defensive coordinator is a 4-3 guy, which I would love for them to go back to a 4-3. I don't like the 3-4.
You like the 4-3?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that'll be that may really help a guy like a Simmons.
Yeah. So with them going to the 4-3, which that might be the reason why they didn't concentrate on in free agency as far as the defense is concerned, because they might be switching over.
So they don't really need a big time linebacker if you're going to a 4-3.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
and the kid they got, he's fast. That we know of.
Who's that?
I think the one they just got in free agency. Was it Givens? The one he's from the Chargers?
Oh yeah, Kenneth Murray. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think he runs a 4.5 at a linebacker.
Man, that's fat, man, right?
Yeah. So So if they're switching over to a 4-3, which no one knows yet, so that could be the reason why they're not concentrating on the defense right now.
Okay. Well, they got Harold Landry still coming back, and
Arden Key.
That's a lot of speed right there. Yeah. Did you like Oduzue from Cincinnati? I like him.
Yeah, another older player.
29. I mean, he's not old.
Not old, but football old.
Yeah. I would like for him to get Snead, but I don't know if I want to pay that rich 20. Right. I mean, I'd love for Tennessee to actually have a good corner. Tennessee ain't had a good corner since Samari Rowe 20 years ago.
True.
I thought it was just me.
Well, no.
Pac-Man was pretty good in times.
I take that back. There was a corner, the mid 2000s.
Oh,
He had
Finnegan.
yeah, Finnegan.
Yeah.
And there was another one too, but he had a good year and went to Tampa and got a big payday. I can't remember
Oh
his
yeah,
name.
yeah. I know who you're talking. Can't remember
Yeah.
it now.
So
Yeah.
we had Finnegan was a he was he wasn't a number one corner, but he gave you everything he had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He can even take a butt whooping by Andre Johnson. Every time I think of Finnegan, I think he was a 7th round pick, and then Johnson wailed on him a couple times. He kind of got under Andre Johnson's skin.
yeah, which that's what he was supposed to do.
He might not caught another ball the rest of that game, right?
See, I never mind teams calling Tennessee the dirtiest team in the NFL. I didn't mind it. I loved that. I wore that with a badge of honor.
Hainsworth played on that team, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I did not mind them calling Tennessee dirty players or Fisher a dirty coach. Was it what's his name? Lights Out from San Diego.
Sean Marion.
Yeah, he said Fisher ruined his career because he told
blocked him.
Yeah, he told the offense. What's his name? He went to the Eagles, offensive lineman.
Yeah,
can't remember his name, but because he took a big hit on Vince Young.
Fisk.
He got a late hit on Vince Young, and Fisher told the offensive tackle to take him out.
Wow, he's old school. He played for the Bears.
Exactly. That's how I like it. That is how I like it.
Yeah. I don't drink Kool-Aid. I was telling everybody that there's a chance with this coordinator here. Now, I didn't like. I'm okay with where he came from. That new coordinator, the defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did come from Baltimore. He's I wish they would have got a veteran like a Wink Martindale or somebody, but that means no, never mind. But you look at Will Levis, you look at how he's played last year at times, and the fact that they like to throw the ball, they like to dump it off to the running backs in Cincinnati, and Ridley can get open in space with the Hopkins next year. He's in the last year of his contract.
Right.
He could explode and be a star next year. There's a very good chance that Tennessee could catch everybody off guard and be in the wild card hunt, and nobody see that coming. And I don't drink Kool-Aid.
Well,
I just call it like I see it.
It could lead to Burke's big year if he stays.
Yeah, Burks could have great coverage, right?
Yeah, because you talking about Hopkins on one side and really on the other side.
Put him in a slot.
Yeah, put him in a slot. It's either him or the tight end. Somebody's going to have a big year. Yeah.
Yeah. And we know they got players on defense here. They've got a Baltimore guy bringing in. The offensive line's going to run block better. You know, by the way, what do you think they should do in the second round? They don't need a receiver. You know, they're not obligated to get think if nobody trades up. You see what I'm saying? And they just take they're not obligated to get a receiver in the second round, no?
There's a kid in Texas. Yeah, I think he's like 360 pounds.
I love that guy.
That's what I want.
You want to stop that run, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I want that. I want to unleash Jeffrey Simmons.
Is that okay at the 39th pick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
either
quick
that or
too,
either that or a corner.
Yeah. There's supposed to be a corner out of Iowa that's good. So
yeah, I want the defensive tackle. I want to free up Jeffrey Simmons for sacks. So
that'd be nice. You know, that you make some good points, man. I forgot. I know who you're talking about because he's been talked about before. He's a very good athlete for his size.
Yeah. That
tackle. Yeah. You know.
So, and a sleeper is the kid they drafted last year, I believe, in the 5th or 6th round. Or I don't even know if he was actually even drafted. He led the nation in sacks.
Wow.
So that they drafted last year.
Titans did?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and see.
Yeah,
here.
I think is it Duncan?
It might be. It might be.
Duncan.
Geez, I'm looking at guys here.
Is it Jalen Duncan? Or that might be tackle.
I don't know. I got Wallace here, Gardner, Thomas. These are linebackers, though.
Yeah. He's a linebacker.
Simmons. Oh, yeah, I think his name is Colborn. That's a nose tackle. They also signed a guy named Sebastian Joseph Day. I think.
Yeah. He's a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
But there's a kid that they drafted last year. I think he might be a diamond in the rough.
Okay. Yeah. You know, they
'Cause
still
you
got
don't-
Hooker
yeah,
at safety.
Yeah, you don't lead the nation in sacks on a humbug. So
What
I
about
believe-
Simmons? Do you think they should maybe go after Simmons from Denver, who's been talked about as safety?
Well, actually, I even thought about trading the Titan Simmons.
Trading Simmons?
Yeah,
What would you want to get for that? That's
another number one and or number two.
you could get a big time pick for that. You could probably get
Yeah.
a top 10 pick for Simmons.
Yeah.
Whew.
So I even thought about them doing that too to get more draft capital.
That'd be a splash. See, I like Rand Carthon so far, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's on him this year.
Yeah, he's still, like I said, I don't know who made the picks last year, but yeah, he's on my list as far as I don't know yet.
Big question mark.
That is, like I said, the draft picks last year, like I said, you needed a wide receiver last year and you drafted a running back. Then on top of that, you pay a running back this year. That doesn't sit well. And you let Henry go.
But then again, everybody else paid running backs the first day too.
They did because there are no running backs in the draft. That's the reason why I think they went so fast.
They should have did. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So
all right, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. We out of time. Do you follow the NCAA tournament?
No, not really.
Okay.
I don't follow it. I don't follow it to the NBA draft.
Who do you think's gonna win the finals this year? If you had to pick one.
Probably Boston.
Are you still leaning Boston, even though they're not getting the ball inside to Porzingis like?
Yeah, that Porzingis doesn't want to play inside.
But that's what's really holding me back from picking them to win. I still think Denver can win it again. You know?
Yeah, Denver could. The thing is with Denver, it depends who they face.
Yeah, I think the road this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So between the Lakers can sneak up, Phoenix.
Phoenix is playing better.
Right. Even Golden State. You don't want, the thing is with this, the West is that you're facing the Lakers or Golden State or somebody who has a shot in the first round.
Because they're going to be in the play. Yeah. I'll bring you back during the playoffs, man, if you want to.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
If you want to come on, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I had it. The thing is, the reason why I wasn't going to come on, but I wanted to come on because of them getting Pollard. I didn't like that.
You was frustrated with Pollard.
I was frustrated with Pollard's situation.
I thought they overpaid Pollard. And I just, other than that, you know, I think he did good. I think he did really good. I think he's patient. I like how he got Ridley out from underneath Jacksonville like that. I just hope that they don't abandon the offensive line. Just continue. I hope they get one of these big-time tackles. I'd love to see him get Alt or somebody in the first round.
Well, that's just it. They had a left tackle in for a visit a couple of days ago, and they didn't sign him.
Who was it?
I think it was from
Humphreys?
Seattle. No,
really?
They had a left tackle in for a visit a couple of days ago, and they didn't sign him. And the same thing with the kid was from I think it was from San Francisco, defensive tackle. They didn't sign him either, even though they did play him. The team did pay him a lot of money.
Yeah, well, Armstead had some injuries though.
No, not Armstead. The other one,
Chase played.
Chase, yeah.
Well, now they're saying he had a neck injury.
Yeah, so might be medicals then.
That's why the Saints end up giving him just 1 year.
Yeah, they did. They gave him like what, $13-15 million.
Yeah, I don't know if they should have paid him that.
So,
he's going to have surgery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I read that yesterday. I was freaked out. I read that after I did a show saying I think he may be a bust, like Clowney.
So maybe Carthon is doing a good job then.
Hey man, shoot, he may be the next Ozzie Newsom.
John Robinson would have signed him.
He's always getting some guy that's got some kind of red flag that's got talent, you know.
Yeah, his injury list might be bigger than his draft picks.
Yeah, see Caleb Farley.
Yeah.
Man, he's still on the roster, by the way, Kareem.
He's a first round pick.
Man, he ain't done nothing.
Nope.
Yeah.
Would he play one game?
Yeah. That's a John Robertson special there, man.
Swing for the fences in the first round, and that was another thing. Did you know that the scouts, none of the scouts got fired?
Wow.
From John Robinson regime.
Say that if you're wanting to move on, you got to move off the scouts, man.
Well, that's what they said. The thing was that John Robinson wasn't listening to the scouts.
He got just like I said, he did good early.
Mm-hmm.
Then his head exploded. He got too much hot air. He had to turn the fire alarm off with this guy. He got crazy, Kareem.
So you had both coach and general manager ego driven.
Yes.
Which led to disaster.
That's what I've heard about Vrabel, man.
And I wanted Robinson. I liked Vrabel, but I wanted Robinson fired 2 years prior to him getting fired.
I was going to give Vrabel another shot if he would let the GM pick the players, you know.
Yeah. Well,
he just didn't want to do that.
Well, I guess if you see what John Robinson was doing, can you trust anyone?
That is true. Yeah, Robertson didn't tell nobody about A.J. Brown to the last minute.
Well, Amy knew. That's just it. Even though it was Robinson's idea, Amy knew. So she didn't want to pay. He didn't want to pay that money.
Right. And then he walked out of the room. I saw a video. He's walked out. He was real ticked about A.J. Brown. But Brown's giving him problems up in Philadelphia, by the way.
Yeah. Well, he needs a coach like Vrabel.
Yeah.
He doesn't need somebody he can walk all over.
A Vrabel or Dan Campbell and Detroit.
Yeah. He needs one of those coaches. Yeah, he needs one of those coaches. He needs a demanding coach because you didn't hear. That's what I have a friend that's an Eagles fan. I said you didn't hear a peep from him when he was with the Titans.
And did you hear that Vrabel? The reason why he wasn't getting jobs because he's real intimidating to people around him.
That's what he put out. That came from Josina Anderson. That's what he put out.
Big burly man.
Yeah. That's why I said that. That's why I think that quarterback situation he leaked because it came from Josina Anderson.
Yeah, I know who she is.
Yeah,
scoops, man.
Yeah. So yeah, he was leaking all that information. I think that's when everything went downhill after that. He wanted the power. He thought he was going to get the power. Amy didn't give him the power.
Well, maybe he's hanging out. Maybe he'll get the Ohio State job next year.
Yeah, possibly. I think he's vying for that Cowboys job.
Or the Cowboy job. Go butt heads with the old man, you know.
Yeah. He's that type of guy that would him and Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
It might last 1 year.
Yeah. It would be great for sports talk though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Man.
And the thing is,
bringing it tonight, brother. Appreciate it. Huh?
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
I'll come back on.
All right, man.
All right, you think
especially after the draft, we'll go over and see what you think.
Oh yeah, like I said, my antennas are up with Carthon.
Wow, man, you're a tough critic, man.
I don't want to see another guard go in the first round.
Okay, I hear you. Left tackle or big time receiver.
Oh yeah, big time receiver, left tackle. Well, the only reason why the receiver coming up is because of what the coach said. Yeah.
And plus, Hopkins is on last year of a contract.
Right. So that's what I said. You need wide receivers.
Yeah.
Even though you just signed one, you need wide receivers. So I think they're going to take one. It just might not be in the first round.
Yeah. I hear you. It's gonna be fun, man. It'll be here before you know it.
So who do you want?
Well, I would like a tackle, but if they that idea that you floated, that's a good idea. If it happens, if you get that trade opportunity and you can get one of those neighbors, Odunze or Harrison, and get Tali Funga. If you can get Funga, he's supposed to be very versatile. That would be ideal, but I really want Joe Alt, man. I want Joe Alt. We got the new center, and of course you got Sonorski. That whole left side, that's opened up right there.
The only thing that bothers me about Alt, he's not very strong.
Okay.
That's the only thing that bothers me about him. He's very athletic.
Everybody says he's the best. He grades out, man.
I get it. He has a lot of athletic ability for somebody that size.
Yeah.
But when I watch tape on him, he's not a very strong. So basically, he would be wrong for Derrick Henry. He's a pass protector. He's not a run blocker.
Well, they're going to be doing a lot of short passes.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's the other issue of trying to get the quarterback to throw short passes. He wants to chuck it deep all the time.
That's the biggest thing he's got to work on. That's and you know, if you're Callahan, you hey man, we went out and got Tony Pollard who can catch it, and then we got Spears. Let's take what the defense gives us. Take the easy 6 yards. Don't force double coverage for 25. Live the fight another down. That's what he's there to coach that out of Levis.
He wants to show. He wants to show his gun.
Yeah, he's got some Jay Cutler in him.
Yeah,
to say the least. I mean, Josh Allen had the same problem. Even although he's fixed it, even Mahomes has had that problem in the past. You know, because he got a strong arm. You know, they want to show it off. It's like a singing voice.
Yeah.
So
the actual could they trade back, get a second round pick, possibly high, go back up and get the kid that broke the combine record?
Oh yeah, the Texas player. Yeah, possibly. A lot of times those guys are just deep threat guys, though. You know.
So I think that might be because, like I said, Hopkins last year. You want to get off.
They got him. Tennessee would be fast. Woo.
Right. So you don't. Either way, Burks is either going this year or next year.
He better have the best offseason of his life, man.
Well, he's working with Hopkins.
Yeah,
I do know that. But the thing is,
he needs to lose about 15 pounds, Kareem.
Yeah. Well, I heard that he did lose. I heard he was losing weight too. But like I said, he's still injury prone.
Yeah.
So basically, between those two, you're still looking at getting a wide receiver.
Yeah. That's going to be a tough call, man. But the good thing about it is you're not obligated to do it in the second round.
Right.
You know? But if they didn't sign Ridley, they would be obligated to do it.
Right. The only thing that worries me about the current coach is Wizard Hunt. Remember Wizard Hunt?
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember last because going away from the Titans DNA always worries me.
You don't want them to be too finesse.
Right.
Yeah.
Titans
that's
DNA,
the flip side.
Yeah, Titans DNA is smash mouth.
Yeah. Now they're coming from the AFC North. They know that you get your nose blooded in that division. So maybe they learned something. And we got his dad there. I don't know, man. I just got a good feeling about it, man. With that offensive line.
Well, we know he has better offensive coordinators than Vrabel has, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. And they still got some defensive players out there. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's still some players out there up front. I forgot about Arden Key. I had to look at the depth chart. Yeah, Key's great. You know, Landry would be better. He's second year back from this injury. So, you know.
The only thing that worries me is the corners and linebacker.
Yeah, a little slow. Well, maybe finesse at linebacker. Need that other corner.
And Simmons is coming off an injury.
Which Simmons? Jeffrey?
Jeffrey Simmons, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well,
yeah.
I haven't read anything really bad though. So.
Yeah, it wasn't serious, but he's still coming off. I think that's 2 years in a row he's been hurt.
Yeah, but it won't. I didn't see anything that was horrific. It's not Achilles or ACL.
No. Just nagging injuries, but
Yeah. Well,
you kind of worry as he gets older of those little nagging injuries.
yeah, we'll see, man. Hey, I appreciate it, buddy. Have a good
Thank you for
one.
having me.
All right.
Hey,
Thanks,
you take
man.
care.
Have a good one. Hey, everybody. I will be back probably Tuesday. I've got work stuff to do. Plus, I'm gonna be watching the tournament tomorrow, Friday. Be back Tuesday, and we are way over. I apologize, but hey, it's gonna be a great. This is gonna be a great playback here. So, if you like the show, please share the show. Again, we'll see what happens. Connecticut. Let's see what you do there in the championship run. Thanks, everybody. See you probably Tuesday here on Sports.